All right. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Anglin Vocal Office. This is Kathy's office here. She's a local real estate agent in Whistler. We have Robin and
Bronwyn.
Got the B part. My name's Anissa, and I run the ladies' meeting and the entrepreneur collective. And today it's Pick a Friday, so we have a coffee meeting called the Coffee House Network, and we meet. Yeah, we've all got something to drink here. Cheers. And it is a nice wet morning here in Whistler. My favorite temperature, probably about 13 degrees. If it just stayed like that forever, I'm good. Look, it's 8:15. Anyway, so today we're going to start working on John Maxwell's law, 21 Unrefutable Laws of Leadership. Has anyone done the book before? No. And we're just going to talk about it shortly. I did print out, well, Kathy printed out some worksheets as well. But you can download these in the Entrepreneur Collective. There's a group called the 21 Laws of Leadership. If you're tagging in from the meetup group, you can, the link is actually in there to go to the Entrepreneur Collective, or you can just Google it. It's pretty easy. It's on the Mighty Network, which is an app that you can download onto your phone. And then it's got all of our groups from the ladies meeting, the YVR mastermind group that we do, different events. I have different trainings and stuff on there. So whatever you're looking for in business, if you're looking to grow your business leadership skills or even just some personal life skills, they are there. So we're building and working on that together. And part of why the Coffee House is created is to just start building more content there to share with people. And 21 Laws of Leadership, John Maxwell has always declared must be free. So there is absolutely ever anyone is allowed to charge for teaching these laws. So that's pretty cool. So I actually found a video from when I first started teaching this in 2014 or something. I don't know. Is there a date on that video? You see it? It's the year I lived in Abbotsford and sold my house.
Scroll it maybe for comments if there's any.
2015.
There you go. That was a few years ago. So I'm just going to play this for a minute. And I found it was like a little time travel piece. I'm sitting in my little house in Abbotsford.
The next button.
Yeah. Hi everyone, it's Sunday morning. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Anissa. Welcome back to the studio. As you can see in the background, the artwork is all off the wall. I'm working out of my living room now. The house is up for sale. And I've pretty much sold everything in the house that is comfortable. The sofa, the chairs. I have a bed left. Anyway, welcome back to the studio. Haven't really done any recordings in a while and have made some big changes in my life. Well, I haven't made them. It's that the kids grew up. They have moved out. My son Garrett is 18. He's living in Whistler. My daughter is turning 21 this year. She's getting married, having a baby. So lots of big life changes for all of us. And so it's my turn to step up, and I've been looking at my dream board and going, it's time to follow through on some of those things. So one of the things I've done is I've started working with the John Maxwell team and learning how to teach the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership. And I find that when you want to teach something, you need to live what you're teaching. And so a lot of self-reflection has gone on. And for example, my girlfriend Monica said to me, she says, Anissa, you're not puffy anymore. And I said, well, I told you when the kids were gone, I would change how I eat and change what I'm doing and spend more time on myself, because I don't want to go on a diet. I don't want to go on a quick fix. I needed to change my lifestyle. I needed to take more time to exercise. I needed to know where I was going to fit that all in. What I didn't know is that I was working on the law of the lid, which is John Maxwell's first chapter in his book, First Law, which is that if you are in leadership, you need to know what your lid level is. The lid being what are your skill levels? Where do you hold yourself accountable, and what your goals are. So in doing that, I'm just going to read you the law of the lid from John Maxwell. Leadership ability is the lid that determines a person's level of effectiveness. The lower an individual's ability to lead, the lower the lid on his or her potential. The higher the individual's ability to lead, the higher lid on his potential. To give you an example, if your leadership rates at 8, then your effectiveness can never be greater than a 7. Your leadership ability, for better or worse, always determines your effectiveness and the potential impact of your organization. So I know that in coming out of my parenting cycle and going into being a grandparent, I needed to look at what my leadership skills were and what my habits were as well, and seeing how I could take my teaching, and I'm professional in marketing and social media, and take that to the next level. And I believe that he has spent so many years of his life teaching this, that this is the guy that I want to learn from. He's built an amazing organization. So in doing that, I'm starting a mastermind group based on the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership. If you know me, then you'll know that I really enjoy teaching. I enjoy helping others and assisting them to get to their next level, because I think that when we help each other, we really get a lot further, and it's way more fun that way. So if you're interested in learning more about the 21 irrefutable laws, more about my business, what I'm doing, and how we can work together, please send me an email at info@communicationstudio.ca, or you can just Google my name, Anissa Carruthers, and you'll find me on LinkedIn. And I look forward to meeting you in person, or we also have the 21 laws online as well, so we can do this over the phone, and we have groups that way as well. Take care and have a great day.
Back to our big screen.
Oh, the next thing.
You can go for about 4 days without water. You can go for about...
There we go. I was waiting to see if that would happen. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, you're good. Awesome. Well, let's put this back to full speed. There we go. Welcome back. So I've also got the worksheet here, but what do you guys think, like in your personal life, what kind of experience you've had with where you've had to lead a group, or even just your personal life, where has that affected you that you didn't have quite enough skills to take it on?
Well, I could share with my group. I have in Whistler here, it's a 55 plus group called the Whistler Mature Action Community. And I've just taken over the role as chair after the last lady was running it for 6 years. So it's a new project for me. And so the law of the lid is you only know what you don't. And it's finding ways of trying to help this group grow and evolve in a community that is filled with lots of young people, although 25% of our population is retired, and we would like to age in place, as they call it. We would like to stay here for our retirement. So the law of the lid for me, as leading a group in the community, is learning how to be a really good board member, being a chair, facilitating meetings, and actually some of the training I've taken is through free training on boards. And so a lot of times we're going through a strategic plan right now, and that facilitator is helping us all on the board be better board members, to be more proactive for our membership. So not only are we facilitating this, we're trying to grow the community of retirees here. So I think is recognizing the fact that you don't know everything, and that it's time to get out there and gain knowledge, skills all the time. It makes you a better person all around.
Or identify the person that can help you,
Do that.
that is willing to help you
Like
play the role of what you don't know, right? Like, work together.
And I think a lot of major corporations, the leader recognizes in themselves that they don't have those abilities, like Apple or Richard Branson. Bring around you the collection of people who have that expertise, as you say, and facilitate, and not be afraid to bring in people that you don't think will be a fit, because they may bring that outlier idea that is completely changes your company's success rate.
Well, Anthony Robbins uses the term of, like, he's like, you're in an envelope and you're kind of moving the edges of your envelope, which is what I really like that idea, because it's like sometimes you're just expanding a little bit. That one person gives you that one idea that you just like, oh, I know probably we can even do that. Oh, we're allowed to do that. You know, like it just takes you to that next level. So have you got someone that kind of mentored you into the travel business?
Yeah. So one of my colleagues, I wanted to be a travel agent like for as long as I could remember, really. But I didn't go straight into it. And when I decided that I was going to, I started doing some study, but then I reached out to one of my now colleagues, and I was like, what's the best way for me to do this? And she's like, well, come and work for me as my assistant, and then you'll learn all the ropes and everything like that. And so I worked as her assistant for actually quite a short time, but I still obviously work in the office, and it just gave me an exposure to a lot of different things, and I had somebody that asked questions too if I had the questions, which was a lot to start with. And now, actually, yesterday, we've got some new staff in the office, and I was doing their training yesterday, so leading them. So I'm not sure how I quite got roped into that, except that my technology skills are quite savvy, so I picked it up.
Forward as well.
Yeah, exactly. But but it's nice to see people interested and being a part of their growth as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
And Robin, what do you do?
Multiple things. I would say one thing I'm working on now is teaching our level 2 of our training and power system. So we have a process, and so I have to work with a senior person who's a teacher trainer.
And what business is that?
It's a metaphysical and healing system for adults and children. And so, yeah, it's like going through the steps and then reading the notes, taking that time to look at it from my perspective, asking the questions. And so there's a lot of back and forth. So it's like very active learning, and lots of information back and forth. And there's other teachers I can talk to, which I love, right? So you don't just have one perspective. I think that's really important because we all have different ways of looking at things. So that might be her way of looking at it. And then I might talk to another one that has another kind of.
Well, and with that, I think people's experience with using it, knowing how people are reacting often is going to be so helpful. I was dealing with a 6-year-old, I was dealing with a 21-year-old, and I used this system, and this person this age group might have reacted differently versus this group. So it's probably really helpful to have the broad perspective when you're going into it, because then you're going to get there faster.
Exactly. And feel more confident. I think that's the other thing, right? When we're learning something new, is to have that confidence to do it on your own.
Absolutely. John Maxwell uses the example of, he always leaves the name out of the business. I think these 2 guys who bought a theater and it failed, and then they bought a restaurant and they started selling hot dogs, and then they started selling hamburgers, and they had a system that they could get the hamburger to someone in 30 seconds, and that they were making in the 50s or 40s or 50s, they were making over $200,000 each take home pay, which was pretty amazing. But they couldn't grow the business past that because they didn't have any, they didn't have the thought that they could do that. They didn't know how to build further than that. And then Ray Kroc came in, and McDonald's stretched across the country, as we all know. And he made, he had to invest a good chunk of money, but he ended up with the growth rate. They went across the states is so fast, but it just took that mindset that they couldn't get past that. They couldn't get past having one set of systems with one set of staff, and not even they didn't even have 2 restaurants. They just had the one, right? And that's all they could do because they hadn't law the lid. They couldn't get past that. And there's a few things that he talks about: character, charisma, commitment, communication, competence, courage. I tend to read fast, so I'm trying to go slow. Discernment, focus, which is something I came up with my staff last night. Generosity, initiative, listening, passion, and positive attitude. And that's a big list to go through and go, where do I rate in there on a scale of 1 to 10? Where do I rate? I worked with a girl last night that literally was trying to do 3 things in 1 minute. And she's like, well, what if I have to do this? I'm like, okay, this is on fire. It's not on fire. Let's leave it till later. So if you ever listen to Stephen Covey and how he puts things into perspective of how you should get things done, it's on fire. Get it out of the way. Take care of it, right? versus are you looking at something long term that you could work on a little bit every day and eventually it's going to get done. It's not taking a huge piece out of your day versus this is on fire and if it's not in by next week, I'm paying a $50,000 fine. You know, like that is that. It's like that's not even that shouldn't be a question. Right?
Yeah.
So
I think that's one of the things that I've learned in the last few years is like, okay, perspective. Like, is this an emergency? No. Okay, so like, don't stress about it, right? Like, doesn't mean I won't get it done, you know, reasonably quickly, but it's like, don't have to stress. It's okay. Like, no one's done.
not on fire.
Yeah.
The mattress is not on fire.
Yeah.
But when you put all of those together, like charisma, commitment, communication, like not everybody has really good communication skills.
Mm-hmm.
And ironically, some people think they're great communicators.
Yeah.
And they suck.
I think it depends on the people too. Like the two different types of people might be really good at interacting with someone who's like you, but interacting with someone who's not like you, you've got to change your communication, right?
Yeah. Because if, like, for example, I know if I give a list of something to someone else, they're going to be able to go, that's on fire, that's not, but you give it to the wrong person and they're just trying to do it all at once and then nothing happens.
Yeah.
It's like everybody slows down and it just nothing gets done. I work at a gym, so we have a lot of just lists, right? It's like, did you get the list done? And somebody's like, already over there. I'm like, did you get the list done? Because you check them off. It's really, well, they're done. I'm like, then check it off so nobody else is trying to get it done.
Yeah.
You know, really simple stuff. And so I sometimes it's like the law of the lid. I think the biggest challenge is if you don't understand that that's a challenge, because like I think you said earlier, is you don't know sometimes what you don't know. You don't know to ask better questions. And that's what I learned in going to university at 29. I think it's the ideal age to go to university because I got to see, because you know some people are like, oh, you don't need to go to university. I'm like, I didn't know what a Freudian slip was, you know, and then I got to go study Freud and study history and things like that, but I didn't know the questions to ask, and I wasn't confident enough to ask the questions. And then I was in a class where I had to ask the question or get a fail, or in our university, everybody had to be part of a team. Every class that you took, you had to do teamwork in every class, which really set us apart. Whereas I'd been parenting since I was 21, right? 22, I guess. So it's like you're in a totally different mindset and you don't know the right questions to ask because you're into a whole different realm. Yeah. Right? I'm sure you run into that a lot too, is with people that just aren't asking the right questions maybe about how their lives have affected them so they can go forward.
A lot of times there's environmental or history injuries that we're afraid to expand past what we know, right? Because it's that courage and one of these things, courage really hit me on this list, is to step out of your comfort zone and know that you're okay, and feel safe to expand your horizons, expand your envelope. And that, the fear of success is almost as equal as the fear of failure. Like some people who've bumped up against success, as you say, with the Ray Kroc McDonald's scenario, they're here, they're just here, and they're just missing that extra bit to take them so much further. And we sometimes pull back from that project or that goal or that learning, that skill, that mentoring, because we're afraid that. So then people don't benefit from our growth of knowledge. I think that's
perfect because it actually ties into the presentation I did last week on Maslow's pyramid. Is if we don't feel safe.
Yeah, if we don't feel safe.
If we don't feel safe, then that courage is really hard because we need to stay in our safe zone before we can kind of step into our uncomfortable zone. We need to know that our basic needs are sometimes covered. Otherwise, I've seen so many people put themselves in, they're like, I'm going to go out and be an entrepreneur, but they haven't covered their basic needs, and their wife and their kids literally don't know where the mortgage payment's going to come from. Which if they just, maybe got a job 2 days a week while they're building their business, which, makes everybody feel safe. It's like, we've found a balance. We've planned out what's going to be paid here while I go off and start this business and do this. And you've taken time to make sure that foundation is there so that then you can go out. And I think that's really important.
Yeah, and actually I use the pyramid with a motivational map process I do.
Mhm.
And it's also how fast we are at making decisions. So the discernment piece is really good because if we're high growth, we can make decisions really quick. Get that shiny object syndrome, and it's like we're doing all these things, but we don't actually commit and follow through.
Mhm.
And I see that a lot with entrepreneurs
Yeah.
because it's like, well, it's a different way of thinking, but it's like this person's telling me this person's telling me that. And so you're mixing all these different things and then you don't actually complete anything.
Mhm. Well, I was with someone who literally couldn't decide if this should be here or this should be there last night. And it was just like, okay, next. Right? But, sorry. Like, can we get on with things, you know?
Yeah.
But a really interesting story I heard was, so this gentleman is retiring from his very successful business, and his mentee that he has brought up, he's like, I've had this question to ask you. I've always just really appreciated your decision-making process, and you always seem to make the right decision, and things, you know, the company just keeps moving forward, and it's going really great. He says, you're taking over for me, so I have a little something for you. And he reaches into his pocket and puts some stones on the table. One of them's they're different colors. And he says, sometimes I just reach into my pocket and I grab a stone and just say, this one's this. If it's red, I'm going left, and if it's not, I'm going right. And sometimes that's how decisions are made, right?
Yeah.
And if you talk to generals in the army making really big decisions, sometimes they don't know what's right or wrong, but they have to make a decision and they have to make it now. And sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't. But then now you know,
Yeah.
versus spinning the spinning wheels.
Sometimes you can overanalyze something so much that you just never move forward.
Yeah.
And you might be making the right decision in that moment. That's just going to go all sideways anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
They call it analysis
Paralysis.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I see that a lot in real estate transactions. You know, we evaluate properties around Whistler Resort, and then eventually, magically, the right property comes forward almost at times. You know, people are leading this way, and then all of a sudden something really catches their eye, and
The front door is the right color.
The front door is the right color, or the
Yeah.
the feng shui is right, or things like that. So something that they were going this way, all of a sudden they've been analyzing, and then all of a sudden they go here, or they never make a decision. They just keep analyzing it into a state of not making a decision. So, and you know, I think talking about a general, using the history, finding a mentor, you know, realizing that out of our history comes our future. So if you are making big decisions, you know, maybe give yourself a timeline. Okay, I'll do this much research, then I'll meet with people in the industry, then I'll meet with a mentor, then I'll go forward. But make sure that timeline is not too long, because then that's, again, paralysis.
Yeah.
And I see it in, I used to teach realtors. I've now retired from teaching realtors. I just do real estate. But over the years of teaching realtors, you'd see some that were instantly on it and going forward, and other ones that would research real estate so long that we would call them secret agents, because they would never get out in front of people. So it's really tough. And as a teacher, you're trying to encourage them to find the balance between really shooting off and going full bore and not really thinking about possible consequences, too much thinking about consequences. There's somewhere in the middle there.
Yeah.
So we see it all the time through life.
I remember when I first started as a travel agent, obviously I was learning in-house, and there's so much to learn. So many different options, so many different destinations, so many different traveler types, right? And for a while, like, I wasn't moving forward with my business because I was like, I don't know enough, right? And then eventually I went, you know what? I've been learning for like this long. I was like, I have to stop doing all the webinars. I have to stop going to all the training sessions and everything.
And just do it.
And just do a little bit of it and just jump in and do it, because I do know more than like other people, right? And no one's ever going to know that.
And you become the trainer, and you know you have a problem.
And so I think that was kind of like, I had to build up my confidence a little bit, and then I just had to jump out for that last bit to get that little bit of extra confidence to know that, yeah, I can do this, right? And people will come to, like, I will have a business and stuff. So
And you don't have to be afraid to say, I'll get back to you, right?
Yeah,
I
exactly.
think that's what we get caught in, that I have to know it all rather than
Right.
I will find out and get back to you.
I
It's
know
like,
where I can find the information
Exactly.
and I will get back to you, or I know who to talk to. That's my favorite line. I don't do it all the time, obviously, but it's like, I don't know the answer to your question, but I know exactly the right person to ask. So I'm going to go and ask them, and then I'm going to come back to you. And that's a big part of our business, right? Is like knowing all the different people around the world that can help you
Absolutely.
with those questions.
I guess that happens with you too, and that's why Maggie picked Angle and Poker.
Yeah, and in real estate, it's always changing as well, like any industry. And into communications that Anissa does so well is that we have to also take our business to new platforms. We have to market. As Thornhill Group here in Whistler went into becoming Engel and Volkers to expand that brand of connection around the world, because they have 800 offices. So now I have over 10,000 realtors around the world that I can connect with and say, oh, I have a client who's thinking of moving to Germany, to this city. Can you tell me a little bit about it? Or I can give them 3 names of realtors for the area that they're looking at, so that I know that they're in good hands when they go.
Exactly.
And, in your industry too, with travel, wow, how much it's changed over the years. I remember writing contracts on 1 page. And sometimes I still do that in my business, because that's what the client wants. They want to sit down. It's the personalized service. How would you like to be communicated with? That kind of thing. And I find that Anissa has been very helpful in my business, because I'm expanding into podcasting and blogs and websites. Aside from doing real estate, why I do real estate, why have I chosen Whistler to be my lifestyle, and creating a brand around that. So it's really kind of neat how we can take our businesses and maybe expand them in different ways that we never knew possible before too. And it's again, having those ideas.
Oh, there's even more I didn't see.
Having those ideas and trying them out and seeing what works, and giving it time to try it out too. That's what they say with patience, tenacity. So what's the other list there?
Problem solving, relationships, responsibility, security, self-discipline, servanthood, which, it's really interesting. I ran into that yesterday with a much younger staff member who was like, am I here to serve her? Or sometimes it's knowing when to serve and when not to. It's like, what, she's just on her own path, and I don't need to try and educate this quality, which, I was just like, we just need basic kindness. And she basically said, I'm not always kind.
Well,
okay.
There
On with it. On with it. Do I want to take my time and energy to work with that? Is there any benefit, or is it just going to drain both of us? And it was like knowing when to serve someone and lift them up. Like with Odin, my grandson who's 4, it was time to sit and have him watch Pinocchio and have 2 people go, if you're not honest, you may become a donkey.
Well, I'm sure he had nightmares that night.
Yeah, when his mom and his grandma, it was like time to like do some education and like talk about honesty and take time to serve him as a child and show him that and we did it in a fun way, and he's smart enough that he's like he's quite brilliant. So and teachability is another interesting one, is learning to be teachable. Learning that if someone else throws a new concept at us, or like this person that I know, she's not teachable
at the moment. Sometimes
I think you go through stages.
The student finds the teacher
exactly.
Finds the student, right?
She's not teachable by me.
And
it's not my business too, and I'm totally okay with that. It's a challenge when you're in the same space all the time and you don't have the same set of values, and that's part of that leadership piece is learning how to bring a bunch of different people with different values together. Can be interesting. And we see that in Whistler a lot.
And sometimes you can't push with a rope, right?
No.
I've often heard that analogy because it's it's a good one because you can't force a decision in people, and they'll come to it at the right time and the right space.
Well, in Whistler, they do it overnight while they're sleeping. They decide to move towns, right?
Yeah, and they forget to let people know.
Yeah.
Morning. Hi, sweetheart.
What's her name?
Layla, we have a shop dog.
Yeah. And the last one on the list is vision, which I really did, I would say that that's when I discovered in university. I have a Bachelor of Fine Arts, and vision and creativity they really come hand in hand. And you would have to do a project. Because in university, I would say a fine arts degree is far worse, far harder to do than an English degree, because the English degree, you just have to turn the paper in. Yeah, you have to write the paper. You just have to turn it in. So there's a level of creativity. In a Bachelor of Fine Arts, you've got to decide on what project you're going to do, turn it into the professor, have it approved. So you need to come up with a couple ideas, because some of them might get turned down. I could always have 10, and there'd be people in class going, I don't know what to do. I'm like, here, have some of mine. Then you've got to create the project. You have to research, study, and present a paper on it in public. You have to put your piece on show. You have to have your cohort judge you back, your university professor judge you back, and we're talking on paper. And then you're also going to show that up to the public for general view to be belittled publicly if it's not good, right? So I always say that having the ideas to put out there and try and have a vision that where you think you're going to go, and then share that with the team. That could be something that some people, and what I realize is some people just don't have the ability to even be slightly creative. But they're also really good at other things that I, for example, am not, with being very disciplined, maybe, for example, to get certain things done in a very categorically strategic way. Sometimes they're like I had an argument with someone about getting to the airport, and then afterwards we had both taken a personality test in the same course, and we discovered I can just, like, to get to the airport, I'm just like, it's that direction. Actually, that reminds me, I had a dream last night about an airplane, and you were in it. And you were that person who knew exactly where to go, and I got lost at the airport and missed my plane, actually. It's really funny. It was one of these really big planes that I've never actually been on before, that was just like massive. And because you travel all the time. But my point was, sorry. That's right. She needs every little detail to get to the airport. Where do I turn left? Where do I turn right? I'm just like, I know the airport's over there, and I totally know I'm just gonna get there. I was not that person in the street.
Looks like it goes that way.
Yeah, and she was my daycare provider at the time, so it was like, oh, this is why we're not really matching, because we have such different ways of thinking and different ways of getting somewhere. And it doesn't just apply to a map; it applies to everything she does in her life.
But do you appreciate those qualities in your daycare provider, as opposed to maybe someone who's a bit scatterbrained?
Well, exactly.
Right?
But then you're getting why I understood why I trust her with my child.
Yeah.
Because it's like,
They often, I'm not sure who said about putting a flag in the ground, right? Whenever you have a vision of what you'd like to do in your business or your life, or, even planning a trip, plant a flag in the ground in the distance, or blue sky visioning, right? I use rest and reflection. I set aside an hour every morning to read or listen to music, and I kind of reflect on what's going on, and it just helps me start my day. And some people do it at night before they go to bed, or go for a walk in nature at a random time in the day, and the answers will come because we vision things differently. So I keep a little, as you can see, I write notes down as I go, because that's, for me, that's how I vision things. I just randomly write them down, and then the vision comes into reality. So they say dream into reality, or vision into reality. So I think it's setting aside time to do that, like to calm your mind, because we have so many distractions each day. And it's a good thing to teach children as well, I think, is just to find the quiet space. And what is that quiet space that's unplugged?
When they're starting to teach meditation in school, which is so amazing. Cool. And it's funny thing here is there's things you can do to raise your lid. Value experience with reflection. It's like the number one thing.
I think that sometimes kids these days, they're so busy with doing things and being entertained that they actually don't know what they like to do,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
They just like doing all these different things, and it's not until they sit back and go, actually, what do I enjoy doing? It makes them help find themselves a bit more too, right?
You could probably talk to this, Robin, with your experiences. What do you find?
Yeah, because I find, well, a lot of parents, right, they live vicariously through their kids. And so it's often what they think they want. And parent has to be open. But what I like about the one that I teach is the parent comes too. So they learn a system so they can actually find a way to calm each other and a different way of talking with each other, which is more neutral, right? And kids learn early to make their energy to get other people to like them and do other things. So they learn to keep their energy for themselves. And I've seen kids stand up to bullies and all sorts of things because it's like, no, this is my boundary. And yeah, to see kids learn it at a young age is amazing. And the shift with the parent too. So, yeah.
Well, I was watching my 7-month-old grandson, Jameson, and there's a skill that those babies have. Because he has no reason. He'll be doing nothing, but the second you look at him, he's just like, gotcha. Hi. What do you mean you'll look away? But there's just like there's something. It's pure energy, and it is a survival instinct to smile and physically with his face to get me to like him, and we lose that somehow. And it takes focused energy to do that, right? To focus, like he's not looking around. When he notices that he needs you to get his attention, all he can do, because he can't talk, he can't walk, he can't do anything, is this. Hi, I love you.
Those big, those big eyes.
You know, and that is a skill that we lose, especially with, oh, hi, how you doing? Yeah, you know, we're on our phones and we're not even giving each other basic attention, which is really interesting. We've not just lost it, we've forgotten that it exists. Hey, Layla. Hello.
And I think that one of the books I read 100 years ago is called The Celestine Prophecy. It talks about setting those emotional and energy boundaries. I found that a very helpful booklet because, you know, just as Robin was saying, bullies or in relationship bullies and those kind of things where you let your energy just completely go and setting those boundaries and revisiting those boundaries. You know, what do I feel comfortable with? How do I want to run my life and my career and things like that? And just sort of setting personal boundaries. I think it's something we should revisit every once in a while.
And yeah, we weren't taught that, right?
No.
So it's a skill that we have to learn and not to feel shame about it.
Yeah.
I think that's what comes up, right? It's like, I should know this.
I should know this.
And it's like, you don't. Your parents didn't have it, so how are you supposed to know it without learning about it?
And society was taught such different parameters when I look to my grandparents, my great-grandparents, and my parents and how they were raised and the expectation levels of them in society at that day. I think and I hope and I feel that our society's becoming a bit more broad-based in the fact that you know, you don't have to be married at 20 and you don't have to raise 2.5 kids and the white picket fence in the house, you know, and travel, you know, like I didn't travel till I was in my 30s. You know, now younger kids are traveling with their families and becoming better global citizens than I ever was until I became 30. And now I see the benefits of getting out of your local area and meeting people from around the world, and certainly living here in Whistler. They come to us here in the community. So we connect with a global village without really going anywhere, which is kind of cool.
People say, they're like, oh, you don't have a passport? I'm like,
where do I need to go? They're all coming here.
I live in British Columbia, which I haven't even slightly explored, and everyone else just comes to me. But I'm just going to end our recording, and the next one that we're going to have is actually going to be the law of influence. The true measure of leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. And so for anyone that would like to download the worksheet, you can just email me through the meetup group, or you can find me at anisajane.com, theladiesmeeting.com. And one of the other exciting pieces of news I have, Kathy, actually, is we got the entrepreneurcollective.com too, which when I went to find it, it did not exist, because that'll be our overall envelope.
Your umbrella.
It's my umbrella. It'll be the umbrella, which has taken a long time to get to that, and so general. And like, if anyone listens to, just blanking out on her name. She's kind of like a prophet kind of person. And she's like, when you're really, really stressed out, just go general. Right. And it's so funny because I was talking with, when Adam was here, if you see any of our other recordings, Adam was a guy that was, came to many of our coffee house meetings. And I was sitting there with him. I'm like trying to work on like the Canoe Cathedral Entrepreneur Collective or the Whistler something. I'm like, go general.
Go general.
Go general. Just, like, again, just analysis paralysis. It was just, I'm just like, I have to get on with this. And it was just like the Entrepreneur Collective, done. Not even thinking for a million years that the website would be available, that now everything can just fall under, which it's not up yet, but I own it. And I think that just going general can sometimes help us get through to those next decisions. So anyway, hopefully we will see you all. This is Kathy and Bronwyn. Do you guys want to say your websites if people want to find you?
Travelwithbron.com.
Oh,
Yeah.
alifeofchoice.ca.
And lifestylelocator.ca.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you on another Friday online, or if you're ever in Whistler, just come and find us. Is it the blue button?
Yep.